Hi Taurus, welcome to your week ahead Taroscope with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Quick note, my readings are for your sun, moon and ascendant signs. So whether you're a sun, moon or rising sign Taurus, this is for you. And I always advise that you watch all three to get a clearer, more complete picture of how they're going to speak to you. With that said, remember they are general readings. Not everything's going to resonate with everybody, and that is just fine. You should always use your own discernment. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So for your key to the week this week, you have the Chariot card. This is going to be a fast week. It's going to be a busy week. I will say that to you as well. We are fast approaching the eclipse season. Now, this is a big deal because the first eclipse in the Taurus Scorpio, okay, of course, wait till you see the cards. It's obviously decided to throw itself up. So we're coming into the eclipse season, right? Okay, so we've got new moon this week, which in a lot of ways is, although this new moon isn't an eclipse, it is kind of, it's going to give you a little flavor of what's to come. And then when we get into the end of the month, when we have that full moon lunar eclipse in your sign, we kick off the Scorpio Taurus axis of the eclipses from here on in. So this week is kind of a big deal for you. I think this whole month actually is going to be quite an interesting month for you. Now for like I said, right, you got the Chariot card. This is going to be a fast week. It's going to be a dynamic week, and you might feel this week, I have to say, it might be one of those weeks where you feel like you're chasing your tail. It's just like there is just not enough hours in the day. And I've got to be honest with you, the Chariot card isn't just about victory and success. It's also about conquering an aspect of ourselves. So this week, maybe you're being asked to look at where it is that you can get over or around some aspect of yourself, or where it is that maybe, and I say this out of all love, a part of you needs to kind of suck it up and get through it. It's, you know, one of those moments where it's like, okay, you know what, my philosophy on everything, it's probably not the best one, but I'm going to tell you anyway. My philosophy on everything is grin and bear it and get through it, right? So if you said to me, I'm going to put you through the most amount of pain you've ever been in, but at the end of it, there's the reward, I would say to you, okay, how long is this going to be? All right, and it's going to be 7 days of pure agony. Okay, you know what? No problem. Let's do it. That's the way that I get through things. What I understand about Taurus, maybe not exactly the same, but you guys have a very similar mindset. You see something, you focus on it, and it's like you relentlessly move towards it. What I will say to you is this week, it's just going to be one of those times where, you know, that slow sort of steady release energy that you're used to, that you enjoy, it's not going to be there. So my advice to you is don't look for the experience that isn't present this week, right? Just deal with what you have in front of you. Now, with that being said, if you haven't got yours yet, you can get your 2022 reading in, they're up there and out there to purchase. You can get that on the link in the description box below, or one of those little floaty things that's around my head somewhere. With that said, let's get into it. For your actions and options this week, you have, of course you do, you have the Tower card. Right? So this is why I laughed, because I was like, they're going to kill me, but okay, you know what? So here's the thing. One thing that you do want to be aware of here, this isn't just, you can't just do the ball thing, right? You can't just charge at it haphazardly and, you know, do it all slapdash. The reason I say this is the Tower card is the Chariot card is number 7. The Tower card is number 17. The Tower is what you end up with when you do too much of this Chariot energy. So this is why I say to you, it's not going to be a case of just, you know, you can't just throw everything at it, including the kitchen sink, and hope that something sticks. You are going to have to get through it, but you're going to have to do it at a pace. But this is it's kind of like that whole pride before a fall energy. This could, so what I guess I'm trying to say to you is, this is not a week to say, well, as long as it's done, what does it matter? That could lead to some disastrous consequences for you personally this week. Now, your actions and options is the Tower card, which means in some way, shape or form, you are going to upset the apple cart this week. And I would say to you, this is probably not the best week to cut your nose off to spite your face, all right? For your communications and conversations, you have the Moon card. You got a double hit of lunar energy here because the Chariot card is is Cancerian energy. I mean, the Moon card is actually Pisces ruled, but that's a lot of lunar energy anyway. Remember as well, the Moon card very often shows up to show us that we don't have the clarity that we need. So whatever plans are being made this week, whatever agreements are being sewn, wrought, put together, just try to keep them as loose as possible, because plans are very likely to change with these, and these might be very quick changes at the last minute. What I will also say to you as well, this could be a time where something that you kind of that's what it's one of those moments, right? Like my friend who's got a child always says, when she's busy doing something, that's at the point that her boy will ask her for something because he knows she's distracted. So it's like, you know what, I'll just give you what you want so that I can get on with what I'm doing. This would be one of those weeks where if you have children or if you've got a lot going on and somebody asks you this isn't to say that you can't multitask. I'm sure many of you can really, really well. This is not the week to split your focus though, because if you could not unknowingly, but maybe distractedly agree to something, and it's like, that's fine. And then you kind of forget what you've agreed to, but you're like, I'm sure I'll remember when the moment comes. And then when the moment comes, you're like, oh, that's not good. So when it comes to communication this week, especially around work, the profession, the academic life, be as present as you possibly can, because if you miss something this week, it's likely to come up later and it will probably bite you in the arse. Now, for those of you that are employed by somebody else, you could be happily working away this week and it's like there's someone that just has to pee on the fireworks, right? Find a way to temper that frustration this week, because if you blow your lid, there could just be a lot of people like, what the hell just happened? I mean, sometimes it needs to happen, right? But just read the room. Is it the right moment? When it comes to those of you that are business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, people that work for themselves, in a lot of ways, if you have employees, this could be a time where maybe they have something going on and so it's kind of like you could be doing your job and everybody else's as well. There might be a feeling of that this week. For those of you that are retired or no longer working for any reason, cut yourself some slack this week. It's almost like you're creating things for yourself to do because you feel like you're not doing anything, when really sometimes the thing that you're supposed to do is just enjoy the time that you have. For your love and relations, you have the Mother of Swords, so she would be the Queen of Swords. Now, one way that you could probably look at this, it's right underneath the Tower card, okay? So my dear Taurians, you guys know I absolutely love you, and have ever since, well, I say ever since, I got love for Taurians, but ever since Uranus moved into Taurus, it's like I really get you guys and you guys get me more, and it's my highest viewership every week, every month, bar probably Leos and maybe two other signs, but yeah, and I really believe that's because there's this mutual reception thing that's going on, which is amazing. But I have to say, this week, for those of you that are partnered, married, or in long-term commitments, it kind of is you, all right? So if you're having problems, challenges, or issues with the partner, most of the time I'm on your side. But I'm sorry to say, just because of the combination of cards and the fact that you have the Tower card in the actions and options, this week, if anyone's rocking the boat, it is you. And so I would maybe think about the tone that you're using when you speak to your partner, your loved one, or your family members. Think about the content of what you're saying as well and the way that you're delivering it, because it's kind of like you're poised, ready for battle, and it's like there really isn't a battle, certainly not in the home sector. Although there may be. I mean, it is the Queen of Swords, so we have to call a spade, right? Or a sword a sword. Don't shoot the messenger. For those of you that are single, quite honestly, there's a lot going on here, right? And you may mistake somebody's kind of witty banter or flirting for taking the piss out of you, and it could get misconstrued, and you could come across as really scary if you kind of go above and beyond, right? So just keep that as a consideration. For your money and materials, you've got the Four of Cups, right? So I love this card in this deck. It's actually the first deck of tarot cards that I've seen that actually has bald people in it, so naturally I'm very happy. Jokes aside though, your money and your finances, it is the Four of Cups, so there's a lot of contemplation when it comes to money, finances, resources, what you're going to do about money or with the resources that you already have. It's underneath the Moon card. So this week, some of the conversations that you have around finances and money, they're not as clear as they could be, which kind of makes sense, because when you think about it, the moon is dark this week, right? And whenever the moon is dark, we're not really sure what's going on. We have an idea, we have an inkling, but there's not enough light or clarity for it. So just be careful this week, all right? Especially when it comes to money and partnerships, money and relationships, money or resources and connections of some sort. Now, when it comes to your physical health and vitality, this is going to be your stomach. So look after, you know, your tummy and your digestive system this week. This would also be a week where overindulgence in any form of liquid. This could be coffee, it could be alcohol, it could be those energy drink things, which I have no idea how anybody drinks those things. You know, people often say to me, well, you've got a really big belly, so you must drink beer. And I'm like, no, if you actually knew, like, it's the like the one thing that I absolutely cannot stand. Sugar. A side note, when it comes to your home and environment, the Four of Cups here is actually quite nice. There could be somebody that's trying to bring a healing or soothing energy into the home this week, and there's a part of you that's kind of not here for it. You know, when you just want to be in a bad mood. I would urge against that this week, right? Chariot card could lead to the Tower, so just be conscious. For your new moon message, you have the Gate 64 and confusion, and I think this is going to set in because you're putting too much pressure on yourself from external sources. It's like you're taking the information from outside and creating tension on yourself and in a way, it's kind of like you're stressing yourself out unduly. This new moon is actually trying to show you how to get back into or to connect with your own psychic or intuitive awareness or vision. Now, that doesn't have to be going into a lofty state. It just means that you need to be a bit more present from here. Focus on your direction and let everything else come to you, rather than creating situations for yourself that are this would be a week where you thinking about the way that you do communication, especially in what is life but a series of partnerships, right? So this week, the fact that you've got a new moon in technically your 7th house, you know, if you're an ascendant Taurus especially, but to a lesser degree the sun and the moon, you're having that new moon, so that dark energy in the 7th or in the sign opposite to yours, which means there is a lack of clarity there, and that lack of clarity might cause some sort of confusion. With the backdrop of us building up towards this first eclipse in your sign, you're a lot more on edge or a bit more sensitive than maybe you realize you are. So just be a little bit more gentle with yourself and others this week, all right? With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Take care. I'll speak to you soon.